back to Times Square. It's Kevin McCullough. It's called That Kevin Show, thatkevinshow.com, That Kevin Show on all social media if you want to be in touch. And we certainly appreciate you being involved, especially when it comes to my next topic. I don't shy away from this, and I know that I'm probably the only talk show host in America, television or radio, that takes significant time on my platform to discuss the religious persecution, specifically of Christians, around the world. I have a tremendous partner in this work, Christian Solidarity International, and you are most familiar with what we do with them by way of liberating slaves. But there are other things that they do that I'm finding are equally important and just as impactful, and that's why we have regular visits, not just with the CSI staff, but also with some of their partners, which is who we are about to introduce to you right now. His name is Dr. Sasa, and they don't have other names in Myanmar, where he's from, but we are glad to have him with us. Dr. Sasa, it's good to see you, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much indeed, Kevin, for having me today. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You are one of the partners that CSI works with on the ground. And what do you primarily do? What are you facilitating in your work with CSI?
CSI and us, they are a part of this humanitarians help to, and also be the voice for the voiceless when it comes to Christians, religious persecutions, which is we are under attack by the military of Burma armed forces. It's not just the first time we have been the targets. If you look at the Burma, 86% are known as Buddhism. But this the military that we are facing. They are not even practicing Buddhism, but they use Buddhism as a weapons to persecute the Christians.
It's an excuse to do it.
Exactly, and it's about only we are just 6% of the country population, but we'll be heavily targeted in the last 4 years. More than 300 plus churches or places of worships and have been destroyed, and overall like hospitals, schools, and homes, mainly these minority homes, and more than 100,000 homes and churches and schools and hospitals have been destroyed by these military junta.
More than 100,000?
More than 100,000 homes, churches,
wow,
worships, and schools have been destroyed, completely bombed by, supported by China and Russians. And those are the weapons that were exchanged with our rare earth. We are very rich of rare earths in Burma, and then those rare earths are being extracted by this country, and then exchange they give the weapon. And those weapons are Chinese weapons or Russian weapons, and then kills a lot of our Christian brothers and sisters, and destroyed our churches and our schools and our homes. And this is an example in my Chin state where I came from. The town called Tatlang town is a home for 10,000 people. It's completely wiped out for the last 3 years, and so that's what we are facing now.
That is really disheartening. And I think a lot of people are having a similar reaction to that I am right now, because when we hear about Buddhism in the United States, all we hear is peace and, love and quiet and calm and concentration and all these other things. I didn't know there was a violence element to it. And it sounds very similar to the way Islam operates in parts of the world and so forth. The Christians that are there, how are they surviving since these 100,000 buildings, structures, homes, churches, schools have been bombed? How are they surviving?
It's not only, Kevin, that more than 100,000 homes and schools and churches and hospitals are being destroyed. It's also more than 6,000 our brothers and sisters has been killed by the bombardment and the campaign against them with battlefield weapon that they exchange with the natural resources of Burma. And what the military has been doing is they steal the wealth of the country. As I said earlier, 50% of rare earth globally reserved is in Burma. And they extract the rare earth and gave to China. And in return, they gave them the weapon. And then the weapon come and kill our people. And so we are not talking about only the 100,000 plus churches, homes and church, schools and hospitals be destroyed. We are talking about more than 6,000 brothers and sisters has been killed.
That sounds like, in legal terms, that sounds like something called genocide.
It is something that we, you already know that minority, not only Christian, but Muslim, Rohingya, this military, the same military that have came and killed so many of our brothers and sisters, have killed and targeted genocidal attack against minority Muslim Rohingya. And then the U.S. government have determined that as genocide. So really it is what genocidal attack against minority. And then so these are the military regime that have used the peaceful religious and loving religious Buddhism as a peace and love, but they are using this opposite and using as a tool for them to use as weapon to persecute the minority. And if you're Christian and Chin, you just have no future in Burma. Particularly, there is a red line that you cannot cross. Example, to be military general in Burma, you cannot be Chin, you cannot be Christian. There will be no ever one Christian who is military general in Burma. It's there's a red line that you cannot cross. And that's how we have lived under oppression, not just only 1 year or 2 years or 4 years. We have been living there for the last 70 years since we get independent from Britain. And that's have been our life. And there's just no future under this military brutality and cruelty that target our faith, our belief, and there's no freedom to believe. There's no freedom to worship. Even many of those churches have no registration, has no protections of legal status because they are just built and they are not recognized as a church. And that is just 12 days ago. There's also the killing of, priests and the father, and it's all instigated by this military regime in one way or another way.
Friends, if you want to know more about what CSI is doing in the Myanmar-Burma conflict, you can go to csi-usa.org and find more information there. Dr. Sasa is our guest, and he's seeing it firsthand. Dr. Sasa, let me ask you, I know that you're in the States for a short while, and you're attending conferences and talking to people, and you're trying to raise awareness. I want to ask more about that when we come back from the break. But real quickly before the break, just a short answer. What is the world's general interest? Has anybody come to your aid in terms of global governments? Have there been any countries that have reached out and said, we want to help the Christians in Myanmar?
Not as far as now, and it's like we are located between China and India. And we're at the crossroad between Southeast Asia and the South, and then China, India, and then Burma is strategically positioned there at the crossroad between those. If you think about our neighbor, half of the world population are our neighbor, and we are suffering, and the pain and the suffering and the death destruction that have been endured by our Christian brothers and sisters in Burma are unspeakable.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.